Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we can be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I am your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and Peebush. How you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. We got some NBA news to talk about. Bears won on Sunday, man, taking down the hobbled Rams. I'll take the dub.
Yep.
And another 2-2 week in fantasy, man. It's just one of those years where you're either a high-scoring team with very low points against, or you're just getting absolutely wrecked every week, no matter how much points you score. Zoo and I can both attest to that in different leagues, man. Absolutely brutal.
Man, brutal week in fantasy, man. Rashee Rice, man, he's on 3 of my teams.
Woo!
So when that hit took, not only did he tear one, he tore it 3 times. Man, that's what I felt. I felt 3 knees getting torn when that happened. So after that, Sunday football, I was like a wounded soldier. And I got sick I got sick this past weekend too. So I'm extra wounded right now.
Oof.
No Rashee Rice, no throat right now, man. That's what's going on right now. So my goodness, but man, pulled off a fantasy trade, trying to revitalize my spirits. But man, injuries really, really hurt, especially when you lose by 1 point in a league.
Yep.
That Mr. Tyler freaking Bass, man.
And
My
Zoo,
goodness.
even though he got injured, you're saying he could have made 1 catch before he was down.
Oh, dude, just give me 5 yards, 1 catch, and I would have won by 0.1.
If Mahomes hadn't thrown a pick, man, maybe it would have happened.
Yeah. Oh, I had Mahomes on that team, so if he didn't throw a pick, that's 2 points.
Yeah, that was 2 birds with 1 stone, literally.
He had 13 fantasy points, man. This is the norm now with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, started last year,
For such a great player, man, he is having an awful season. Statistically and personally. Like, his team is winning, but not because of him right now. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Not because of him.
Patrick, the regression to Peebush's point kind of started a little bit last year, but like with a lot of these guys who we kind of saw the trend happening, like Kelsey, for instance, nobody thought it was going to be this stark. And with Mahomes and Kelsey, like if you had that stat going into a year thinking you're going to do well in fantasy, you're probably looking at 1 or 2 wins right now. So if you have stock in Devontae Adams, can you not hear me?
No, Zoo.
I was like, if you don't have Devontae Adams, if you have him as a player, I don't know. Depending on where he ends up getting traded to, maybe his value goes up. So I don't know where he went in the drafts this year. Maybe he went a little bit later because of his situation with the Raiders. But if you actually have him on your team, you might have a little bit of a boost, especially if maybe that team had Puka or something like that. So I know we talk about fantasy every week, and that's always a big part of this podcast. So I wanted to start with the NFL and just kind of get the guys' opinion on the first 4 weeks, since kind of technically we're quarter way through the season. And Peebush, I'm going to let you start off.
Man, I'm gonna talk about a disappointment, man, that I think a lot of people are struggling with. I got a bunch of friends from this area, and that's Anthony Richardson, man. I know we picked on Michael Pittman briefly last week. Well, Joe Flacco comes in and he revitalizes that passing attack. Josh Downs 8 for 82 with a touchdown. Michael Pittman 6 and 110 plus. I mean, Joe Flacco, I think we gotta throw him in this discussion with some of the best backups in the league, man, because he absolutely cooked with Amari Cooper and David Njoku last year on the Cleveland Browns. Now he's coming into Indianapolis. I know Anthony Richardson's injury may not be that severe, so this might not be a continued staple throughout the rest of the season. But, you know, Anthony, we talked about that one game where he had those unbelievable deep ball throws. That one that I think everyone is thinking of down to Alec Pierce when he was sidestepping to his left. And I think we were all impressed with it and kind of seeing that overlooked that game. He was 9 of 19, you know, he's 9 of 20 in some games, right? His accuracy, his decision-making, and his lack of running, which I think that's the opposite of what everyone thought going into fantasy football drafts, or just as a Colts fan in general, that he was going to be a runner, right? And that he was going to kind of shore up the passing game a little bit coming into his second year, albeit only 4 games last year. But he has not lived up to it. I think the Colts have concerns not just on his health with this hip injury and how he kind of puts himself out there when he does run the ball, but his throwing needs to be shored up. And I would say that at this point he's not Lamar Jackson when he first came into the league because of how dynamic Lamar was, but the negatives on the passing, I'd say, are equal, if not worse, than Lamar Jackson when he came into the league. So I know he's still got time, and maybe it isn't time to hit the panic button on a real team basis. But if you have Anthony Richardson in fantasy, you might be wanting to look for some alternative options right now.
That's why you draft Jayden Daniels like I did.
Oh, yeah, man. It was the best. Got him in the 11th round, man. It was great.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Especially these young quarterbacks are putting in immediately. And right now, AR is, I guess, inexperienced, obviously in college.
Yeah.
He just didn't have
He didn't play a lot in college.
He didn't play a lot. So his inexperience is obviously showing. Obviously, he's 6'4", built like Cam Newton, and he runs super fast, but not putting up those numbers that he did last year in a small sample size. And you see a guy like Jayden Daniels come and look like a stud, man. But for me personally, in this NFL season, I got to focus on the NFC as a whole. Like, I don't know what is going on. Like, I don't think any team's that good. Like, I'm just looking at each, because I remember picking NFC teams to try to, like, who's going to win this conference. And I'm like, I don't really like anybody. Like, I think I picked the Eagles by default, but I'm like, I don't even like the Eagles. Like, they got some nice players on paper, but I'm like, the head coach kind of weird. I don't know. Like, a lot of bad juju after fumbling that Super Bowl that were right there for them to win. That Super Bowl hangover is legit, and teams usually don't recover after a loss. So, but right now, the teams are playing the best. The Commanders, oh my Lord, Jesus Christ! The Commanders right now blew out the Cardinals. Did not see that coming. That destroyed my bat. I was like, what the? They blitzkrieged them. My goodness, the Washington Commanders are right now leading division. Obviously, the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is like the team of the conference, team of the division right now, because they legitimately look like the best team in the NFC.
Defense.
Yeah, their defense obviously legit holding teams to 59 points after 4 weeks, which is just absolutely absurd.
Yep.
And their offense under Sam Darnold, he is in the MVP conversation. So, like, it's crazy to say, but Derek Carr had that 2-week stint and they fell off a cliff. It's like, okay, he's gonna regress sometime. Sam Darnold has not regressed yet. Like Justin Jefferson, he just kind of still looks like Justin Jefferson. Like, he just looks like a beast. Jordan Adams got some tutties this past weekend too. Aaron Jones looks revitalized on a new team. Like, he looks healthy. He looks like still the alpha RB1 guy playing the pass catcher role and pretty much a 3-down back. So the Minnesota
Hockenson is yet to come back.
Yeah, Hawkinson's not even there. So you know, this is Minnesota Vikings team right now that has shown true domination from offensively and defensively. And this guy, Kevin McConnell, my goodness, this guy is a hell of a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Empowering his player from the Shanahan tree and pretty much making this Vikings team look like they're legit. Because if you look at I'm going to go through the other divisions too. NFC South, I'm like, okay, Carolina, trash. New Orleans Saints, regression to the mean. Falcons, Achilles, Kirk Cousins, I'm good. Tampa Bay, cute story every year. So, I'm telling you, just no NFC South team is going to win the NFC. And you look at the NFC West right now, obviously, this has a lot of good teams, but the Rams are just completely injured. Same thing with the 49ers. All their best players are in and out of the lineup right now. You got CMC in Germany right now looking at his Achilles tendonitis.
Both Achilles.
Yeah, both of them. So I'm like, okay, he's shot. You got Arizona Cardinals, who I liked offensively, but they're having some rough games defensively. They can't really stop nobody on the defensive end, as we all predicted. Like, the defense is just not going to be the strong part. I thought their offense could be the strong part, but they had some rough couple games lately. And the Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith, come on now, like, they ain't gonna do that.
They're the Bucs. They're like the Bucs.
I'm like Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith. They do got some new coaching. Like cute story. So pretty much, I'm just like, the Minnesota Vikings. Is this the surprise team? The Detroit Lions jumped last year. Like, is this that team that makes it deep to at least the Final Four? Because I'm looking at the rest of the NFC. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, because like the Dallas Cowboys, come on. Now.
Dallas, get out of there.
Dallas, stop it. Like, so I'm like looking at these teams. I'm like, wow, the Minnesota Vikings looking like the best team. I'm like, just from what we've seen from 4 weeks of football.
Yeah,
and they played good teams outside of the Giants. Obviously, you played the Niners, you played the Texans, and you played the Green Bay Packers. And I'm just like, these are 3 legit, I would say, playoff contending teams.
And they dominated.
The Texans. I really dominated the Niners too. Green Bay, close score, but they dominated them the entire game. It wasn't a game. They just let off their foot off the gas. And now they got a great opportunity to beat another team, the New York Jets, this upcoming weekend. So I'm like, the Vikings are the story of the year. Because everybody knows that the Chiefs are undefeated. Like, they're the team of the AFC. But the NFC, man, I don't know a thing about the NFC. I don't know a thing about the NFC. So
and
go with the Vikings, because shout out Sam Darnold for being a backup and just I would say like an education experience, learning under Shanahan as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Absorbing information, play calling, cadences, like stuff like that. He learned a lot as being a backup quarterback, and then he took that knowledge. He got his opportunity. He was supposed to be the backup. People forget.
Right.
JJ McCarthy, the rookie, was stated to be, okay, this guy's going to be the QB1 starting immediately. He gets injured. He steps up, and there's no way that JJ McCarthy would be playing this well, especially as a rookie.
No.
That is extremely tough as a rookie. So shout out Sam Darnold, shout out Kevin McConnell, because their 4-0 Vikings are legit. This ain't a regression to the mean story. This is just a legit team.
Yeah. I was just going to say that Sam Darnold being under the Jets and then the Panthers was atrocious, and then finally getting 1 year, just 1 year with Kyle Shanahan, and he's completely flipped around his career. It's impressive. The only thing I would say, Zoo, I do think the Eagles are worth watching still, just because they have been missing A.J. Brown for multiple years now. So I think if there is a team that's kind of down in the dumps that I think could make a resurgence, it's probably the Eagles. And with the Commanders leading the division and how we know how the Cowboys are, they'll still probably win it in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Commanders is still – we'll see. Like, even though I love what I'm seeing, like their defense is still kind of, even though, the defense held them to 14 points, but the Cardinals to 14 points. But I kind of feel like I still don't trust them because of what I saw Joe Burrow do to him on Monday night. But the Commanders are interesting because I just don't trust anybody else in that division except for the Eagles. I'm with you with the NFC, so I agree with that point. Me, on the flip side, the AFC, I still feel pretty good about the contenders we have going against Patrick Mahomes because if you're a Chiefs fan, you're undefeated, but how good do you feel about it? You got your star receiver getting hurt, Marquise Brown's, basically, I think he's out for the entire season.
Out for the year.
Playoffs. You got Xavier Worthy now kind of trending in that receiver 2, receiver 1 role. Your running back situation is tough with Kareem Hunt and Chase Steele. I think he fumbled on like the second snap, and he didn't really come back in after that.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is still there. Travis Kelce's still there. So I think a lot of Chiefs fans are just thinking maybe they'll just, because it's pretty much they only have each other. They're thinking like maybe they're just going to maybe go on a run to continue this and
Devontae
play better than what they are. I'm done with the league if they get Devontae. I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm good. If they get Devontae, it's game over because it's just going to be another situation where – now, I'm not thinking Travis Kelce is going to play better, but I do think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to throw Devontae open and get him to a point where the Chiefs will be viable again. Mm-hmm. But my main point is I still feel good. Like I said, I wrote down, I still feel good about the Texans. The Jets game last week, I know it was raining. It was going crazy. Bo Nix was just running around. It looked like – it's like, what is this? Is this the NFL? What is this? It just looked wild. That's what happens when it's storming. Like I said, I'm interested. Like, I don't know if the Steelers and Chiefs play this year, but I just want to see what that matchup looks like because
Steelers, man.
Yeah, their offense is decent to okay, and Pickens is like actually becoming a viable receiver for them. So I just would love to because they kind of remind me of like the Chargers, but like with the lesser quarterback, just like how their team is built. Like I think the Steelers has a better defense, but the Chargers have a better quarterback, and I think their style of play can maybe mess with the Chiefs a little bit. But I don't know if they play this year. Like I said, Ravens, Bills. Ravens, that game was crazy. They kind of show like how dominant they are when they're on script running the ball. And I have to come back and make an apology. Like I was not impressed with Derek Carr the first weekend. I should have probably took into the fact that he was playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are pretty good on defense. But ever since then, he's been that's what I'm going to say. Derrick Henry, he's been kicking it up, and he's showing why I think they say he's like a couple hundred yards from being 10,000-yard rusher, which is wild. Like. And I was actually looking at that list. Like, I don't know if we're going to get 2,000-yard rusher in our lifetime because there's a lot of guys who are long in the tooth.
No one's going to break those records.
Yeah, it's just like
NFL doesn't run enough.
Yeah, it's just how the trends of how the NFL is going now. But one thing I will say before we move the Bills, I want them to play the Texans this coming week and beat them because I think if they do that, I'll be more confident with them because I was like, why did the Bills not show up Monday night? I was like, it just didn't make sense. And then I went back and looked at their schedule. They didn't play anybody. So it's like the teams we kind of thought they were going to be kind of good, they like smoked. And it's like, oh, these teams are really bad. And it's like, okay, you went into the Lions den against the Ravens. You lost. Okay, whatever. I'll excuse that. But if you go into the Texans and actually win that game, then I'll be a little bit more confident because, like you said, Josh Allen is a super player. And then I think as the season goes along, these young receivers like Shakur and Keon come better. And only thing is that I need them to get Kincaid the ball a little bit more. I don't know what's going on with that. He's spreading the ball around too much. But that's the one thing. Like with AFC, I feel confident. I still feel confident with all these guys because the one thing they all have in common is all these guys are ace-level quarterbacks. And with the Chiefs kind of, they're injury riddled and Kelsey not playing well, I just think some of these teams, they smell a little blood. Like I said, now it's easy to say that now. It's early in the season. And the Chiefs fan watching this is like, dude, shut up. We're 4-0. Like, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, like I said, NFL is always on the forefront. It's always a part of this conversation. But as most knows, October 1st and NBA starting this month. So what an introduction into the new NBA season than a trade that I don't think anybody saw coming. Like Cat was on Twitter talking about being encrypted. Like I don't think he thought he knew he was going to be traded. So if people who followed the NBA saw the trade, Cat got traded to the New York Knicks and some of the parts he came back was Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. But I wanted to get the guys' first thoughts on this. Just give us like a synopsis of where both teams landed. Maybe pick a favorite. And Zhu, I'm gonna let you lead the charge.
Man, it's crazy to say, but the Knicks are championship or bust now. This is a championship or bust trade. You go from pressure. You go for Mikal Bridges and mortgage your entire future. You get Karl Anthony Towns to get that all-star center to pair up with your all-star point guard. You're going all in right now. You got wings in OG Anunoby, who makes over $200 million. Mikal Bridges in his contract extension is going to get up there too in $100+ million. So you're going to have a starting lineup of Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, probably Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
Like this team, this starting lineup is locked and loaded. Like Thibodeau, I know Thibodeau and Karl had a little shenanigans at the end of the tenure. Like they did not really get along with each other. Obviously, Tibbs is a defense guy. Like Cat's an offensive guy. Like, that's just the difference of them. Like his skill set is not meant for defense, but Cat showed a lot of promise in defense the last couple of years, especially with Gobert. Like he defended Jokic actually pretty well. Like I thought Cat played like pretty well in defense, so he obviously got better after leaving Tibbs. So like right now, this Knicks team right now, I'm just like, okay, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the move. Obviously, they had to break up one of the Nova boys. They were trying to finesse the trade. This is how the Knicks are trying to finesse the initiative. They're like, we're going to give you Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns. That was the initial trade offer, and they're like,
yeah, hang up the phone.
Yeah, they're like, we ain't no sucker, but this is how trade negotiations start. You got to lowball them because if they were able to keep DiVincenzo, who's I think he's just the ultimate role player,
best six man in the league.
Yeah. He's a floor spacer. He had a career high in 3-pointers made in Knicks franchise. Like this guy was an absolute sniper. He was shooting like 7 to 8 threes a game at a ridiculous clip. So like he's like the perfect role player. So if they were able to keep him and they get rid of Rando, who just does not fit with the team at all, and the injured Mitchell Robinson, then this Knicks team was like, oh wow, that would have been like
I would say they're the favorite if they.
Then I'll be like, okay, that is a heist, and I'm even more impressed. But obviously, like the Minnesota Timberwolves GMs ain't that dumb. But I'm just curious. Like the Knicks, they make sense because they went all in. The Timberwolves trying to save some money. Like that's what they're trying to do. They don't want to pay that luxury tax of Karl Anthony Towns making all that money of his $200 million contract because you got Ant making $200, Rudy Gobert with the supermax, and then you got Karl Anthony Towns. So they're trying to separate. Pretty much to say it was like pretty much just a cap reason move. So I'm just like Julius Randle with Ant. That just does not fit. Julius Randle is a black hole. Like his entire package,
heliocentric for sure.
Yeah, like exactly. Like
that's a throwback.
You're winning 0 championships with a guy like that on your roster. Like
you don't put up a stat
he's
line.
A good player that puts up good numbers, but you aren't winning nothing. Because the only way Julius gets the ball is he gets the ball. He does a little post up, a little jab step, he does a little 1-on-1, takes a little fade, just muscles in Zebo style. Like it just does not work. Like it just does not work as an offense. Like I ain't watching like Julius Randle set up the shot for like 7 to 8 seconds. Like that's just not good offense. And the way he plays, he gets his numbers, but it's just not effective in a team sequence. Yeah. And this guy off ball, he can't play off ball because he's not a good 3-point shooter. So for the Timberwolves, like they got DiVincenzo, who I like. He's a nice role player, but I'm just like, I don't really know what the T-Wolves are doing on their team. Like they have many versions of this T-Wolves team trying to maximize Ant-Man's career, but for them, I think this is an hell of a trade because Karl Anthony Towns definitely fit better with Ant-Man as a floor spacer. And they somehow figured out that Twin Towers between Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, like in the playoffs. Like I was really, really impressed with it. like they beat the freaking Nuggets. They beat the defending champions in a game 7 where both those guys were extremely, extremely effective. So they had something going. They lost to Luka Doncic, but my God, the Knicks. I'm not gonna say I love the move for the Knicks. I'm like, I like the move for the Knicks. And for the T-Wolves, like, I don't know, man. I just don't know about the fit on the roster. I don't know if they're going to try to make another trade on top of this, because if this is their last move of the year, man, I'm out on the T-Wolves. Because
maybe at the trade deadline.
I'm just never been a Julius Randle guy. He puts up nice all-NBA numbers in the regular season. In the playoffs, he puts up 13 points a game on 30% shooting. So I am out. These are the type of players I do not want on my roster.
Zoo, you might know more than this than me. What's the Brandon Ingram situation at this point? Because that could be an interesting combination.
Oh, Brandon Ingram wants the bag, man.
Yeah, but he wants to get paid. And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Welcome to Charlotte.
Yeah,
because you're not getting on a winning team.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But
on the Hawks.
Zoo, I completely agree with you. Like the Timberwolves, it was just kind of I wouldn't say the bonehead trade, because I think there are reasons. Maybe we just might
those cap space reasons for cap. Financial flexibility for future moves,
right?
But they got to make those moves.
They have to do it. They had to do it because, one, to your point, Dante, I like the addition. God knows they needed more 3-point shooting on that team since they lost Malik Beasley. Right, that was one thing that we talked about, was when they lost Beasley. Jayden, or I'm going to say Jayden Daniels, and I don't want to.
Jaden McDaniels,
McDaniels,
right? Yeah. I mean, great defender, could hit a corner 3 sometimes, but if you can get a guy that can make 40 to 42% from 3 consistently, when Ant is getting double teamed, that can kick out. We saw Anthony Edwards become a great playmaker actually this past playoffs for his team. But to your point, Zoo, Cat's only 28. I think this is a great move for the Knicks. Imagine if they had gotten that Mitchell Robinson trade-off and paired him up with Rudy Gobert. That'd be the ugliest backcourt or front court in the NBA, man. But yeah, I mean, I think people forget also the Mikal Bridges trade kind of went under the radar back in July. I know it was like 4 or 5 first-round picks, but and I think you could actually argue that in the history of the Knicks since like 2000, they've made some pretty bad trades. Carmelo Anthony, they sacrificed their whole future, and it set them back about 10 years.
Yep.
Right? Amari Stoudemire, his hobbled knees. They traded for Tracy McGrady. They traded for a hobbled Penny Hardaway. Stephon Marbury
signed. Man, they signed injured Joakim Noah.
Things like that. But the Mikal Bridges trade may end up being the worst of these 2 trades. I'm not saying for performance purposes, but if something goes wrong with just the team overall and they don't succeed, it's going to be the Mikal Bridges trade that gets talked about, because you gave up your whole future. I think this Cat trade was actually way better. And even if they hadn't traded for Mikal Bridges, I think they still would have improved as a team. Right. So, I mean, it is hard to manage. I think the Knicks are immediately in contention. I wouldn't put them up there with the Celtics quite yet, just because of I know Thibodeau's a defensive coach, but Anunoby's a good defender. Josh Hart can make up for the rebounding that Cat lacks. But I don't know. Hardenstein was actually a big loss for them.
Oh, yeah.
And
he was an elite defender, and he was a good passer, too.
He was just a poor man's Rudy Gobert, and maybe not on the passing. I understand that, but just kind of a big body that you could put out there, especially when they lost Mitchell. But for the T-Wolves, man, I don't know. Maybe they thought the chemistry between Gobert and Cat was just kind of a mirage last year. Who knows? To your point, the cap situation, and maybe they're just trying to see what kind of players best fit with Anthony Edwards. Maybe they just haven't figured it out yet. I don't know how. He's so talented. But I think we realized, and we talked about this last year, he needs a quality point guard, right? Mike Conley actually did his job pretty damn well with that team. He elevated him a lot. They needed 3-point shooting, so they did address that. But this team is in a bit of no man's land in a conference that is probably going to be pushing them into the play-in if they don't make another move. So I'd say the T-Wolves lost this trade, but I wouldn't say the Knicks just destroyed it, because I thought it was relatively even. And who knows, Julius Randle in a new situation, not under Tom Thibodeau, maybe he stays healthy.
Thibodeau's getting so many strays, man.
But Zoo and I are very familiar with. He ruined Bulls.
I know.
Longevity.
I know.
And I know
I'm not a fan of him either.
Yeah, Cat's already 28. He hates playing defense. They didn't mesh the first time.
Yeah.
This trade is playing with fire a little bit, but I understand the move. You got to contend. So you can't do nothing after literally losing half of your lineup and losing to the Indiana Pacers with a rookie stud leading the way. You got to do something.
To your point, like Cat, it is a weird fit because Cat does not play defense. I mean, he played well with Gobert, but I think that was just the moment. In the moment, it's like when you're getting challenged as a man. Like in the moment, you're gonna fight or flight. And he chose to fight, so I get that. But it's like, is that who he truly is? I don't think that's who he truly is. He's not bringing the fight every night. So like that is gonna be a weird matchup for me. I don't know what his. Listen.
The
Tom
pick and roll is gonna be nice though.
No, that Jalen Brunson and that's probably what Thibodeau and his staff is looking at. Like, yeah, we'll figure out defense, but that pick and roll with him picking and popping, like that's going to be a lethal combo.
D Rose and Boozer combo, Zoo.
Yeah, little throwback. Shout out to Rose, recent retirement. But
yes, sir.
I'm actually going the opposite way. So for the Knicks, I agree with you guys. Like, I think this is a move where I'm always in favor of aggressive moves. Like I'm always in favor of teams. It's like, okay, I know we just kind of improved our team, but what could we do to maybe put us over the top? Because you got to remember, you are in the conference of the team who just won the championship in the Celtics. So it's like, what can we do to try to maybe mitigate Jaylen Brown and all these guys? So you got all these long defenders and stuff like that. You got Mikal Bridges, you got OG, like you got guys who can maybe bother Tatum and Brown. Then you got like the Celtics have Porzingis who's injured, but he'll be back. And then you got Cap, stretch guys who are big guys. They can stay on the floor. And then, like you say, you got Jalen Brunson, who's going to be maybe the X factor because he's proven since he's been with the Knicks that he's a big game player and he can step up in the biggest of moments. So having all these guys around Jaylen Brown, I think or not Jaylen Brown, but Jalen Brunson is going to be crucial. I do think Cat's going to be a seamless fit because to your point, doing these pick and rolls is just going to spread the floor out and it's going to help other guys to, threes are a little bit more easier to make when there's other guys on the floor that can draw attention and they're wide open threes versus contested threes. Yep. And that's what DiVincenzo, I think, was really good at, contested threes and just making threes, period. Because I think he shot around 40%. But I'm looking at the Timberwolves so I do think that Julius Randle, that is a major concern because I don't know how long he's been in the league, but ever since he's been with the Lakers, he's been a guy who's a ball stopper. He's a guy who's going to sit on a wing. He's going to get a shot. He's going to make it. He's going to maybe make the open three. He's going to make a step back three. He's going to do whatever, but it's not in the flow of the offense. The only saving grace maybe you can have as a Timberwolves fan is like he's in a contract year. He's in a new situation. And as you get older as a player, you kind of start seeing your mortality. And it's like, okay, I'm getting big contracts. I'm getting, I think he's 20. I don't know how old Julius Randle is. He's probably still in his 20s, but
29.
You start seeing 29. So you start seeing, hey, if I don't learn how to play within a team concept, yeah, I know I can score. Yeah, I know I can do this stuff, but I may not get more. Like this might be his last big contract if he even gets a bigger contract. Because who's going to want a 30-year-old guy who's a heliocentric player? Yeah, somebody like the Hornets for tickets or the Hawks or whoever. You're going to want that type of player on your team. That may not be something you want. So he may want to play more of a team-friendly type style to where he can get a bet. I don't know what type of contract he's looking to get, but he might get a decent contract that extends him out because they know he's ready to play with the team and be part of a championship culture because he does have the skill set. I mean, he's not like a 6'4" guard. He's a 6'9" guy, big body. He can left-handed. He can do some different things if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. But we'll see with that. But for me, like I said, DiVincenzo, I think is massive. He's not going to start, but him coming off the bench and, combo guards where him and Anthony Edwards are kind of on the floor at the same time because Anthony can handle the ball a little bit, maybe for a little point. But having him out there is just going to help tremendously because to your point, I like Jay McDaniels, but he's a corner three guy. Nickeil Alexander Walker is a corner three guy. They're all wing guys. I really don't know any other. Rob Dillingham's streaky. He's like a hot and cold shooter. I wouldn't say he's a knockdown shooter coming into the league. Yeah. So having that guy, if he can stay healthy, it replaces Malik Beasley, and I think he's probably a little bit of an upgrade because DiVincenzo is also a competitor. So I love that. And I gotta, because I'm not the biggest I don't like saying guys who are all-stars and guys who have, number one picks. There's guys that can replace them in the league. But I think Naz Reid can be a facsimile. He can be close. He can kind of be in that range of, hey, I can shoot the three. I can bring energy on defense. He is not Karl Towns. Don't get it confused. Karl Towns is an all-star. He gets disrespected a lot because he's goofy, but he's an all-star. He's a number one pick. He can get his own shot when he wants to for a 7-footer. He's a good player. But I think the reason why they were probably wanting to part with Nas because to me, this speaks to Gobert's value. I know he's a punchline in the NBA, but Gobert is a valuable piece. He's an athletic 7-footer who there's no shame in getting cooked by Jokic. There's no shame in getting cooked by Joel. If those are only two guys cooking you, okay, well, you need to fix that in the playoffs. But the other teams that you're playing, Gobert's matching up well with those guys. So like he brings value that shows
30 and anything. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, so it's like now when we get to the playoffs, you gotta buck up. But until then, like there takes time to do that. But having him and Najee come off, he's going to start and Najee is going to come off the bench. I think it can help mitigate a little bit of that. Now they are going to miss that floor stretch that Cat brings as a 7-footer and just naturally being 7 foot, being big. But I'm looking at their roster like, so Mike Conley's going to be the starter, right? He'll be the starters. I feel like be Mike Conley, Ant Edwards, Jayden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. Like I'm not mad at that starting five, but like coming off their bench,
Nas and Dante,
yeah, like Nas and Dante, like Nikhil's another swing wing, a swing wing, whatever he can do, whatever. Same thing. Jayden McDaniels just to a lower level. Leonard Miller is a guy they drafted out of the G League. Like he's another huge 6'9", 6'10" wing, can dribble a little bit. Now I wouldn't say a creator, but he's a long wing that can be a defensive force. If he can somehow find a decent shot, he can become another 3-and-D wing. And then Terrence Shannon Jr., if you guys watched college basketball last year, like he got wrapped up in that whole like case that ended up not being true, which has hurt his value. But he was getting buckets in the summer league. Now he only shot like 35% from three, but like if he can just tick up just a little bit, like him is another scoring punch, and he's an older guard, so like he's gonna be more likely ready to play. So like I think this team
the leading scorer, Sean, in college. Or
I think so.
In
I'm not sure. He scored I'm looking right now. He
averaged like 24 a game.
Yeah, he averaged 23 a game. So and he won like he's like won an AP, AA, whatever award. So he's like probably first team All-American. But he's an older guard who's gonna be ready to play. He was in college for like 4 or 5 years. Like he's gonna come off the bench and be well. So to me, I'm always, my philosophy, like I love teams that have big wings. Like they have like Jay McDaniels, you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and you have Leonard Miller. And for me, if those guys can come along and be great, along with Julius Randle buying in, because that's probably more than likely going to be the linchpin. If he can buy in, which we have no proof of that, but if he can buy in, I like the roster because we all know Anthony Edwards is going to take another step. So really, Anthony Edwards now just needs guys to be consistent around him. And if you can say, Dante, I just need you to be okay, you shot 40 in New York, just give me 38. Like, don't go to a 35% shooter now. Don't do that. Go to like 38 or 39. And like, Jayden McDaniels, I need you to be a little bit more of a better corner three. Just, if guys do their job around Anthony Edwards, I like the team. Like for me, a lot of people, or not a lot of people, you guys said you kind of trend towards the Knicks. Like, I like the Timberwolves because I just think Anthony Edwards is going to take another level. And he just once these guys, like he's an established superstar, but like now Ant is trying to push towards top 7, top 5-ish type. Like I'm that consistent guy. So if he's that, now those guys normally in the league, they don't need much help. They just need guys to play consistently. So like like Luka's a top 5, but like you said, he got Kyrie and he did get to the finals. So I guess if you just have somebody to just give you some type of help, you can get to the finals. But like, I like him. I like him a lot. I also think the Knicks. I like the aggressiveness because I just don't stay pat. Like now Thibodeau. I don't know. Just Thibodeau. Look at your roster and just say, "Hey, I got a good thing going here. Let's not run into the ground." If he can do that.
Yeah, do you want an extension or do you not?
Thibodeau needs to look in the mirror. Thibodeau needs to look in the mirror after he's throwing up 255 off the bench, like after his morning workout. He needs to look in the mirror and be like, "Do I want to become a legend?" Because he will become a legend if he got the Knicks to the finals and they won. He will become a certified legend. So it's like, let's have that mindset within the regular season and not run all these guys to the ground.
And the quietest thing I think that the Knicks actually, the biggest thing the Knicks have done in the last 3 years or so was that cheap contract for Jalen Brunson. That set up all.
He took a discount,
even potentially or even probable of happening, right? I mean, if he gets what he's actually due based on what we saw last year, this team is not. I think he's a psychotic for doing that. I'm never leaving money on the table, even if it's to make my team better. I don't know, because they still could have had Metcalf, I think, right? If they would have took that contract, I don't know if maybe they don't get Cat. Probably don't.
I think they still get Metcalf. I mean, if I still got Metcalf, I just don't buy it when people say, "Oh, he's going to get commercials." Like, come on, that's not. Like, I don't care how many dealership commercials you do. That's just not that money. But I don't know. Like, so the NBA is a weird league. Like, it's Rick Brunson's. It's on the staff. Maybe there's stuff money exchange hands. I don't know. He may be getting some stuff behind the door. So who knows?
Yeah, he'll get the money back on the back end. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
he's going to extend and he's going to get it in the back end. So
so we'll see. Like I said, I love that this happened right before the season because maybe you think this trade happens at like trade deadline or right before trade or like maybe a couple months into the season, but it happened right before the start of NBA preseason. So I'm excited to see how both of these teams play. And like I said, the NBA is coming up this month, so I hope you guys stay tuned. But right now, we're about to start our Week 5 bet.
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
And people, just go ahead and give us an update on how you did this last week.
Kind of a broke even week, man. I hit on a lot of the individual players. Like I pointed out last week, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans both had great weeks. Chuba Hubbard absolutely carried. I actually ended up throwing in a lot of Zach Moss too. It's kind of a cheap one. Mm-hmm. My two main lineup stacks were see, now I'm going with Jayden McDaniels, but Jayden and Robinson. I stacked those two guys actually together. And then I did have a Kyler and Marvin stack, which Marvin did okay, but that one was the one that kind of put me into more even territory rather than winning money this past week. But man, Jayden Daniels is a legit fantasy option. I think we've talked about it a lot at this point, but him and Brian Robinson, especially with Eckler out, that was a huge play, and a lot of people were on that one. So you needed the differentiators, like if you had started Baker or Jordan Love putting up just Dak Prescott type garbage time numbers.
Yeah,
man. That's the best
garbage.
That's what Jordan loves.
I'll take those points.
Yeah, we'll take the points. I mean, he was still dropping 30 plus fantasy points, and he threw 3 picks. I mean, like that's just absolutely absurd. So, yeah, man, this week I'm gonna I'll follow the train, man. I like that. I like attacking the Rams defense. I think as you kind of get later in the season, you can really decide what defenses to attack. I know we talked about attacking the Commanders in games past, whether it's your guys straight up bets or in my side. So, yeah, I got the stack of Jordan Love, and I'm actually throwing Josh Jacobs and Jayden Reed in with him. Just kind of assuming that Jayden Reed's going to get the big plays, and if they go up big, Josh Jacobs, he's probably going to start feasting. And the Rams' rush attack was not good. They even let DeAndre Swift look decent yet again. So, that's kind of my main stack. A couple other guys I'm looking at. Really impressed with Brian Thomas Jr. on the Jaguars. Even with Trevor Lawrence's just big struggles, he's actually been very effective. And I would put him ahead of Rome Odunze in the rookie wide receiver category, only behind MHJ and Malik Neighbors. And then the last two more guys I'm kind of looking at, Amari Cooper against the Commanders. I know the Deshaun Watson. I know the inconsistency. But Amari Cooper against the worst pass defense in the league, he's bound to be getting a big play here. And then the other one is DK Metcalf against the Giants, man. I just think he's going to feast on that. It's kind of one of those games. They gave up big plays to Terry McLaurin. They've given up big plays to Justin Jefferson. This Giants defense may be decent up front, but their secondary, besides Derek Stingley, Derek Stingley's not on their I forget who their safety is, but trying to target the Seahawks too, man. They've been airing it out lately.
Interesting. You had a little even. You say you had a little bad week last week. Even week, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I had a brutal week, man. Just dead wrong, man.
Same.
I'm telling you, man. Like I'm done betting against the Commanders.
Yep.
I lost my survivor pool because it cost me $200. And then my first sell of the week was freaking picking the Cardinals, and the Cardinals offense couldn't expose their defense, which I still don't know what happened. But
no McBride.
That is true. McBride was a huge loss.
You said that too, Zoo.
I did say that. Like that is a huge loss because like the team, like they need all their weapons to be that elite offense that I believe they can do. But yeah, they took the L right there. So time to move on. And for me this week, I see a juicy spread. I'm kind of confused by it. Like, I don't know what Vegas knows, but I'm gonna go with my gut on this. Minnesota -2.5 at home against the New York Jets. All they gotta do is win by a field goal. All they got to do is win by a field goal against the New York Jets team that offensively plus the Bo Knicks. Like I was watching.
This is a rainstorm. It's a rainstorm.
Okay.
And the Broncos is second best defense in the league right now.
Okay, I gave you that 10. It was a good defense, but come on.
That's still an impressive spread at 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 right now against probably, like I was previously saying, the best team in the NFC right now based on performance and statistics. Like, and they're at home.
Yeah.
And
no, it's in London. It's in London.
You're right.
That's probably why.
Maybe that's the reason why the variable of a travel game. But I'm going to go with the team with the better head coach because Robert Saleh and his bald head, nah. I'm sorry, man. He just looks like a guy. Like him and got into it about cadences. Like I just feel like Robert Saleh. I feel like I've seen this guy on the sideline for New York Jets game like long enough. Like I just don't think he's a good coach. Like obviously he has been given situations where his quarterback is so awful that you can't really judge him. But from the couple games I watched of the New York Jets this year, not really impressed with the play calling. Obviously, the offensive coordinator, we know about the drinking buddy. He ain't that good either. So pretty much like based on a coaching like disparity, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings just based on that and the way they're playing right now. They got good chemistry right now. Wow. You got Aaron Rodgers beefing the coach, calling out for his cadences, which what Aaron Rodgers is known for. Like, oh, we're just missing our cadences. So many penalties. Like, just watching the New York Jets right now. Like, they beat the New England Patriots. Like, they beat the New England Patriots. They beat the teams they won. They beat the Tennessee Titans with Will Levis, Mr. Picks himself. Like, this guy just all he does is throw picks and pick sixes. So like their wins are unimpressive against really really bad teams. And they couldn't even beat a bad team in the Denver Broncos. And you're playing against the best team in the NFC right now. So for me, 2.5. I'm kind of surprised it's not 3. Like give me 2.5. It's an auto smash, man. I gotta go to FanDuel right now and make a smash bet right now.
Yeah, I think they're probably factoring it being in London and maybe Brees having a bounce back because Brees didn't have a great game against the Broncos. Which, to P. Bush's point, their defense is really good. So if they just had Bo Nix is young, but if they just had like a decent quarterback, they might be a surprise team because their defense is playing over their head. But yeah, same for me last week. Got smacked with the Seahawks bet. That was kind of like my main bet. They were competing, but then I feel like Detroit just put it on like Super Saiyan mode and just went crazy in that second half. So that kind of smashed it. I did come out though with the Chargers. That was more my Chargers Chiefs bet was like the 7.5. Or I see you can take that over the money line. And I was like, they did cover the 7.5. So if you did take that, you maybe a little cash. But I was kind of hoping I was going to get that money line because it was looking good in that first half. Like for as many injuries the Chargers had, they competed in that game. So I was kind of proud of what they did. But
Kenneth Walker, RB2, man.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, 3 tutties.
Yep.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker. He will always be my favorite. He was one of my. I'm so mad. Just aside, I'm just so mad that year. Like. I had other injuries because Kenneth Walker, that like he first burst onto the scene he was clutch on my team. I had him and Brees. Like, those are the good days. But this week I really only found like one bet that I like, and it's I'm always looking for plus odds and upsets. And I'm looking at the Saints, or not the Saints, but the Chiefs. Like I said, 4-0. We get it, but I want to see how they respond. I think this is Monday night game. Without Rashee Rice, is Kelsey gonna have a legendary game? I feel like we've been saying that, but it ain't. It just ain't materializing. The Saints have come back to earth for sure. But I always feel like the Saints have a great defense. Demario Davis gonna have those boys ready to play Monday Night Football on the road. Running back situation, not sure where they're gonna go. Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, I don't know what's going on there. I think Kendra Miller may come back from IR, and he's a guy that they drafted. Second round, I think, for second or third round. That's like they're kind of high on from TCU. I love Rashid Shaheed. I love Chris Olave. I think they might be ready to play, and I think they can cover that +5. Like I said, I'm really just looking for something that's juicy to where it's like, oh, I might just throw some money on this with the money line. I think the money line for this one is +190. Spreads +5. That's it. The rest of these games are a lot of like 2.5, 1.5. It's just a lot of intriguing ones. And I was looking at the was it Jets and Vikings, but then when I saw it was overseas, I was like, when teams go overseas, you just never know. You just never know what's going to happen. This field is slippery. That this is a bunch of foreign stuff. Like, and they're probably not as focused on whatever because they're over there sightseeing, doing whatever. So it's like I don't know. I kind of wanted to stay away from that one, but yeah, I think if you want to place some money on a long shot bet, go ahead and put some money on the Saints to cover the +5. I would love it if it was +6, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you can find that somewhere, but +190 on the money line as well. So that's it. That's it for our bets. Like I said, we're still going to be continuing to do our bets. NBA's coming up, so we will be getting more in depth, not just trades, talking about conferences, different leaders, maybe throwing some final picks, things of that nature. So make sure you're tuning in to Tyson Talks _ on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube, Quantro Knows. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It gets us in the algorithm so you guys can find us and listen to us. Like I said, I'm posting on the audio medium and in the visual medium. So make sure you're tuning into all those platforms. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we are out.